Hi guys, it's Anna with Passions of Paper. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I am showing today a Halloween journal. This is the first of 4. They're all going to be very different with the covers, but the insides are kind of similar. I haven't decorated the other 3 yet, so I'm not entirely sure how those are going to turn out. But I did use some similar digitals inside of them and stuff. This one here, we've got this these girls on this cover, these twin girls. They look kind of creepy, so I put them on there. And we just got some different things going on, just some grungy stuff. These are very, very grungy journals, so if you do not like grungy journals, these are not going to interest you. This is like one of my favorite themes. I get to just play and go crazy, and I absolutely love that. And Halloween is like that time when you just get to go make things very dark and grungy, and I just love that. So I'm not like a big Halloween fan or anything. I just really love the grunginess and the playing and stuff. So, and it's like my kind of color scheme. I like the blacks with the rusts. So we got this like creepy cloth here. It's not really creepy cloth. I don't remember what it's called, but Joann's was selling it, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be a cover. So that is the base of this cover. I've got Tim Holtz fabric on the inside, because of course, look at that. And we've got these layers, and then the closure here is this silky, stretchy fabric, and it's so soft and smooth and stretchy, and it's just so fun to touch and play with. We've got 5 signatures sewn in here, alternating between black and orange, like a rusty orange. And I've got this tassel that has all kinds of fun things going on in it. There are 2 strings of beads, and you can see all the fun different beads going on in there. And then I've got strips of black fabric. We've got black ribbons of different kinds, eyelash trims of different colors. We've got these ladder yarns in here, and then yeah, just lots of fun different things in here. I really love how that turned out. It's really beautiful. It's a little bit different because lately I've been making very, very long tassels that are like all yarn, and this one I went with some scraps of fabrics and some ribbons and stuff, so, and it's shorter, so a little bit different than what I've been working on, and I like to mix things up, so that was fun. Now on the inside, like I said, I used this Tim Holtz fabric, and this is my favorite piece. I love this one. And the digitals, I don't know all the names of them. I will try to get on my computer sometime and list the names or the people that I bought them from on Etsy, so that if you guys are interested in the digitals used, you can find them. And then I used lots of dyed paper. I did lots of sewing. Love this stitch right here. This is one of my favorite, if you could see that. We've got this fun pocket here with a journaling card that I stenciled on the back of. This is vintage paper. I did use a lot of vintage papers in this journal, and this vintage paper is all black and orange, and so I had to use that in this journal. Plus it adds a nice smooth texture. I like to add different papers, different types of papers for all the different sounds and textures that they make, and the different feels of how they are to write on. This is another vintage paper. Not really a lot of room for writing, but it's great for the imagery and the sounds and feels. Also, you can smell that vintage paper smell, which I absolutely love to have in my journals. Did some fingerprints here, make it look creepy. Here we've got another pocket with a vintage bingo card with space for journaling. Did paint splatters and burnt paper. I crunched up my digitals really, really good. I crinkle them. and then I spray the edges and ink the edges, and I distress the edges, and sometimes some of the papers will be a little bit torn to add to that effect. We've got some sewing here, a really grungy piece of paper, kind of feels like an antique piece of paper. This is some handmade paper, and then this is a journal page from 1966. Here we've got a vintage film baggie that I use as a pocket with a journaling card. I just backed it with some paper and sewed all around with some messy sewing. And here we've got a creepy book image. I like this. This is some dyed vellum, so you can see through it. You can see the stamp. It looks like it says backwards 13. And then when you flip the page, it says 31. And then there's some ink splatters, paint splatters on it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this journal is 10¼ inches tall. Just the cover from top to bottom. And then it is 7 inches wide. And it has a 3-inch spine, which can be smushed down a little bit, smushy spine. And there are 384 pages in here. And I lost my spot. Alright. 384 pages. And then there's also a booklet coming out. We've got some secret journaling space there. I just did a paper scrap here of this metal assemblage digital. It's one of my newest, I just got this digital and it's just my absolute favorite. Where was the pocket? I think, yeah. So this is like metal assemblage is what it's called on Etsy, and it's just way cool the way this paper looks. It looks so 3D. Oh, I forgot to mention that spider paper. I stamped right here, caught in a spider's web. That was one of Tim Holt's stamps, so that was fun. And then here I've got a little notepad, a little scrappy notepad. You can lift the prongs up and take the papers out if you want. And we've got some paper from that same seller, just a different kit here. You can see how it looks 3D. This is also paper from her. Made for some really fun pockets and journal cards. Did a little cluster here. And I just did some doodling here and a little cluster there. And then here is that the little notebook I was talking about, it's more like a booklet. It's like a journal, like a mini journal. It's kind of actually big for what I usually do, but it fits nicely in here. There's some pretty good gaps in here. And this is using that metal assemblage paper I was talking about. And then what I did here is I tied on this elastic cord so you can take that off and it won't go anywhere. It's still there. Use these beautiful wooden beads on here, and when you open that up, there is some Tim Holtz fabric for a pocket. It's like a mini journal, really. And we've got some ephemera here that I stenciled on the back of. You can just take this and slip it in your purse and go somewhere. Take it out into nature and journal. And then I made this super grungy. I did a lot of stamping and stenciling and some more of those little fingerprints in here. We've got some homemade cotton paper, some bug stamp there and some stenciling there. Did a lot of grungy script stamp. This is some vintage paper, so make sure you don't tug too hard on that. And then a couple more journaling cards, which is also paper from that same person, just a different kit. Alright, so there's that little, the mini journal. Put these beautiful beads on it. Did a cluster here. And then I just did some collaging here with different textures and colors and patterns. And then I glued this paper onto here because this was just some matte paper that was dyed. We've got some vintage book paper from Greg Shorthand. I love all the symbols. Some black lace sewed on. This is vintage, I don't know if that's rice paper or what, but that's vintage. We've got these butterflies that are the perfect coloring. On the back of that, it's just some rock or wood or something. I think it's wood because it's from my tree book, but I like how it's just, what's the word? Abstract. So my burnt paper. This is from an Edgar Allan Poe kit from My Porch Prints. We've got a creepy fairy there. Can't remember if I said, but this is 384 pages. And the mini journal was another 64 pages. So altogether, there is a lot of writing space. This is a vintage page that had like little tiny pieces of paper that were recipes. And they were glued on, but whatever glue they used back in those days was not very good. So all the little recipes just kind of fell off. But I liked the grungy look that was left from their glue. So I liked using that paper in here. But do be careful with these pages. They're a little bit brittle. Here I've got this little picture. It's just a little creepy house stapled onto the page. And then we have a top secret classified vintage envelope here. And it is used with my special glue that turns tacky. And then inside I've got 3 little mini journaling cards that are all sewed around. They're a lot of fun, and the papers are a lot of fun. So we've got that in there. And this is a vintage envelope, so it's also just a little bit brittle, but I also grunched it up a little bit too. This was from some stencil packaging from Tim Holtz. If packaging looks cool, it's going to get used. This is my burnt paper. Be careful with the dark parts. That part is brittle. And I did some sewing on here. Some fun grungy sewing. Here I did a pocket, just with a cluster on it. And then we've got this large journaling tag in here with some fun fabric sticking up. And I did some stenciling on the back. Creepy book page from my fairy book. I did glued some eyelash trims onto this thick paper and some black paint splatters. Some line stencils and some doodling of lines are going around it. And I did some brick stencil here and then a 31 stamp. We've got a vintage page there. Here we've got an embossed thick paper, and I've had this for a while and I didn't know what to do with it, but I was like, oh, this would be a great journaling card for this journal because it's really thick, so it's hard to use thick stuff, and I didn't know how I would be able to decorate it and make stuff stay on it. Even sewing it was kind of tricky. It was, I think it skipped a couple spots, and then I just used this beautiful vintage paper, not vintage paper, this was a digital, and made that into a pocket. And then I did a Tim Holtz stamp, Peculiar Detached Fragments on there. This is one of those torn papers I was talking about. I just love the torn effect. Ooh, I got some chalk on me. Oops. I love the way that it kind of reveals what's coming up next, but it also takes away from the uniformity of the rest of the pages. Here I did some circles with chalk, or actually that's charcoal. And some more mark making with charcoal there. Stamp 31 and some grungy stitching. I love the stitching here. I like the zigzag mixed with the straight stitch, and you're just going back and forth with the straight stitch. It's super grungy, but still kind of clean enough that it leaves plenty of writing space. This paper is a paper that my sister gave me from Washington, D.C. It was I forget what it's called, but it was this big poster, and I cut that up and turned it into some pages. So it's fun and crunchy. I just added some paper strips to the edges there. This paper was coffee dyed in places, but also I used some of my rust solution and added that on to the paper as well. So that's turned out really nice. And then this red coloring just fits the theme, so that's why she's in there. She kind of is cloaked and mysterious. We've got these twin girls here in this picture, and then a little journaling card. A little cluster here. Lots of grungy stuff here. I added a tab here with the Tim Holtz fabric. My burnt paper. More eyelash trims. This paper is very long, but it got scrunched up in the cooking process, and it's turned out real cool. So I left it like that to make it fit. Here we've got a tuck spot. We've just got this little card and this little vintage paper here, which you can write on the back of, like a certificate type of thing. I added this picture of this lady as a tuck spot, and then we've got this paper that says make up your mind. You can fill that out if you're having troubles with anything. Did some collaging here, and this is a flip out envelope with a journaling card inside. Some more fingerprints. Here I made a big journaling card. It says things are not what they seem, and we've got these three little girls who don't look very happy, and just some crunchy paper to journal on, and that is just clipped in here. On this clip we've got a little tassel, and then here I've got another large journaling card. This is from the same lady that I've been telling you about, and then I just stenciled the back of it to make a nice large journaling space. Stenciled lightly enough that your pen will still show up. Some vintage paper here. Vintage ledger from a little notebook. Some dark coffee dyed paper. Another creepy picture. Lots of faces. Lots going on in there. This is a vintage coupon, or ticket I mean, and I just clustered that on there. And then I did some Tim Holtz crackle paste and made this 3. And you can see the crackles in there. And I just clustered that on. Here I made a little tuck spot, and we've got one of these little cards from Stacy Daisy, I think her name is. And just got a quote there. Here we've got a journaling card, and then I used this vintage film strip as a belly band. We've got this heavily cooked paper, which looks super cool. It's got great edges to it. I think this was the other side of that long paper I was telling you about. This is some very thick paper. It's torn in a few spots naturally from the cooking process, and I really liked that. It adds to the grunge. And then I just did some burnt washi tape on here, and we've got ribbon sewn in here and some paper that's abstract on there. And then here I made a pocket with that metal paper, metal assemblage. And then here's another one of those embossed cards that I sewed back onto. My burnt paper, a vintage music page. This is a vintage notebook page. Very vintage and kind of brittle, so be careful with that page as well. And this page smells vintage, but I don't remember what it's from. So I'm not sure if that's vintage or if it just took on the smell from something. We've got a library pocket here that says 31, and this beautiful journaling card. Some vintage newspaper here, and then I made a little cluster down here on my crunchy paper. Creepy image. Some fairies taking babies, which is like a Scottish tale. That vintage newspaper. The vintage toolbook paper. Here I grunched up a coin envelope, and we've got a beautiful tag in there with another long tassel. And then I just did some more stenciling on the back. Some paint splatters and sewing. Here I have stapled on a another scrappy notepad. Just did some stenciling and stamping on here, on this little hard piece here, and then you've got these little pages here that you can tear out and do whatever you want with. And this is a vintage piece of paper here that was for putting stamps on, and that is front and back. So this page is a little bit brittle, so just be careful with that one. I just did some clustering in here and paint splatters. Love the grunginess. And that's the end of it, guys. So just a quick look at all the grungy pages in here, and my little journal, the extra journal that comes with it. Lots going on. There is a lot in this journal. I filled it up. But there's still also a lot of room for somebody else. It is not alligator mouthed, and it's nice and squishy, so you can easily add a lot of your own to this journal as well. So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this flip through. And if you liked it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I have 3 more that are going to be different Halloween journals coming up. And then after that, I'll be doing some just fall journals, some lighter stuff for fall, the greens and oranges and yellows. So stay tuned to that, and hope you guys have a great day. See you later.